skills. They have the same level of will to fight against the demons of hell.
And there's 4 mercs that you can collect over the course of the campaign. It starts with herre, a blacksmith and a shield bearer. He's more a defensive fighter.
He's able to go in there and soak up damage, use his shield as a bulwark against the enemy.
You meet him early on in the campaign, and he's one who introduces you to the mercenary network. You end up finding acquisition quests for 3 other mercs that you can find throughout the course of the story.
Subo, the drunken archer, is going to work really well for people who want someone who's out of the main melee, in the back, offering utility and that kind of range support.
Then we have Ariana, a berserker crone, who's a melee combat fighter, close range. She's got a really cool combat meter, a massacre meter, where you need to keep killing enemies to get the meter to be filled.
She's got a bunch of really interesting utility skills that you can kind of build in.
Finally, we have the demon child Aldkin, who's a magic user who can transform himself from human form to demon form and join you in combat.
There's this really great reinforcement ability where you can take one of the mercenary skills and attach it to one of your powers so that when you use that skill, it calls them in to do a specific skill.
With the mercenaries for Vessel of Hatred, one of the things we are expanding on is the skill tree. For Diablo 3, you had a very basic type of mercenary, but this time you can actually push a little bit more into the skill tree and make the mercenary the way you would want to play.
Going through each mercenary progression arc and outfitting their skill tree so that it's complementary to your character build, I think that's where the fun in the mercenary system really lies.
I never played.
The Dark Citadel is a new in-game feature that's coming in Vessel of Hatred. It's an entirely cooperative player experience. All the mechanics within it are based around you working together with your party members to solve the challenges and face the first Khazra hordes within.
One of the outcomes of the Mage Wars is this giant crater and all the souls that were kind of lost in it from those wars.
The goal of the first Khazra, who are kind of the original Khazra, they're using the powers within the citadel found within this crater to perform experiments to try and bring back their dark god.
Only recently, people have started going missing. They head into the Khazra region, they disappear, never to be seen again. So it's clear that whatever they're planning is about to come to fruition, and your job as the players to get in there and stop it.
Citadels are a place where we take what is the best part of Diablo, combat, and we test it in a different way, which is adding in cooperative mechanics that you have to manage on top of that.
For example, a boss has an attack, and as a player, you have to collect an item that allows you to reflect the attack back at him. So there's a little bit of a twitch level mechanic there where you actually have to time your reaction shot. What's interesting about it is when you get multiple people in there, we're each responsible for reflecting that shot once, so we all have to sort of master the timing of that move. You can't do that kind of thing without coordinating as a team, and that's sort of the example of what Citadel gameplay feels like.
When designing the Citadel, we designed a lot of really cool bosses. And so one of the things that we did is we took that design and made like armor sets for each of the classes. That way you feel like you took their armor and you feel like you're wearing a little bit of them after your victory.
We also have a currency that's dedicated to the Citadel where, as you play through, a vendor can be interacted with to buy custom cosmetics that are unique to the Citadel. You can play with 2 people, but the ideal experience is for 4. In order to facilitate that, we've built an all-new Party Finder feature, and the community has been pretty vocal about wanting this for a long time. It made a lot of sense to us to pair it with this new Citadel mode.
It really is an activity that's geared towards people who love to play together with their friends or with strangers and enjoy that cooperative gameplay. I cannot wait for players to get into the world. I'm really just excited for people to see all the little hidden storytelling elements that the team has fit in.
There's interesting things to find and see and discover around every corner, and it's just a really great experience getting to explore Nahantu.
I mean, Party Finder, that is a fantastic idea. I mean, the amount of times I log on and a buddy's not there or whatever, now I can fill that gap. And who needs friends anymore, right? So, there was a lot in that. I want to talk specifically first about the Dark Citadel, because as a guy that's into his endgame activities, that's a really creative way to bring players together and actually work things out. So tell us, what actually will players have to do inside Dark Citadel to earn some rewards, get through it alive?
So it's really a unique model for us. And again, Dark Citadel is built towards endgame. And we're doing more in Vessel of Hatred to push players through the campaign and then into the endgame, where we think some of the best content is. So Dark Citadel will require at least 2 players to get through, and requires a lot of communication between players to overcome challenges. Every week there's going to be updated rewards, so there's always a reason to go back and do it again, because there's going to be some new stuff in there, including one very big fan-requested feature, which is our scroll of retempering. So no more brick items.
We all need that demo, man.
You'll be able to apply the scroll and get all new tempering charges on that item. So I know everyone's very excited about that, and Dark Citadel is the best place to go to get that.
Excellent. Well, there is a lot in that, but it isn't the only thing that you're launching on October 8th, so what else we got to look forward to?
Yeah, so on October 8th, we're also going to be launching Season 6 alongside Vessel of Hatred. And Season 6 is going to have a ton of content that's bespoke. It's totally separate and unique to Season 6, and it's going to be free for all Diablo 4 players, which is awesome.
Nice.
We're going to be talking a lot more about the details of the content of Season 6 in the coming months, but there's not going to just be new content coming in Season 6. Alongside Season 6 and Vessel of Hatred, we also have major character progression updates coming to Diablo 4.
I'm going to have to ask for some specifics, surely. That teases me too much. What else you got?
Yeah. So if you're familiar or you've played Season 4 Loot Reborn, you know we did a lot of itemization changes that kind of fundamentally altered a lot about how you're playing the game and how you're getting rewards. The scope of the character progression changes that are coming in Season 6 it's the same. Like, it's the same grand scale. There's a lot of changes coming to character progression, a lot of improvements coming. I'd love to talk a little bit about the goals and also a little bit about some Paragon changes that are coming with the character progression updates. Yeah, so really when we were thinking about these changes, we took a bird's eye view and we wanted to think about how can we make put the power in the player's hands of how they want to interact with the challenge that Diablo 4 provides in the game. We wanted to make sure that you could opt in to your challenge level that you're comfortable with so that you can set your own pace in any activity throughout all of Diablo 4. And so we've applied, basically, if you've played Season 4 Loot Reborn, or you've played some in Season 5, you might be familiar with the Profane Mind Cage. That's an item that allows you in the Hell Tides to up the level of the monsters, up the difficulty, but you get more rewards as well. And we've kind of applied that philosophy throughout all of Diablo 4. You can kind of opt into your own challenge and then get more stuff because of it.
Sick.
And then alongside that, we also have a lot of changes coming to Paragon. We wanted to add depth and choice to the Paragon system, but we know that it's pretty daunting for some people, right? So we wanted to make sure that while we were doing that, we weren't increasing the complexity, right? We want to make sure that it's still very, that it's an approachable thing, but there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. And I could go on forever and ever and ever about this for hours. But we're going to have a lot more details in a developer live stream on August 29th. We're going to have a campfire chat where we're going to be talking all about the specifics of these things.
Awesome. I'm absolutely buzzing to see it.
I mean, the best way to phrase it is like what Season 4 did to loot, Season 6 will do to progression.
Excellent.
And the thing too, but just go back to the Party Finder, like there's things that people look at, like what's part of the expansion and what's not. Party Finder is coming to the game, not just to the expansion. So,
oh, great.
And what's great about it is not only can you access it through the social menu that you can see, or you can access it through your remote wheel, you can actually access it from the map. So when you say, oh, I'm going to go do this dungeon, you can say, and list it as a party that people come join me in this dungeon. So it's a feature that's going to apply to the entire game.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I should also mention, in addition to Dark Citadel, we have another mode that we're bringing to the table, which is called Undercity. And Undercity is a time dungeon where you want to beat it before the timer runs out. And that mode has modifiable rewards. So you get these things called tributes, and depending on which tribute you use, you can modify and scale your rewards with the difficulty. It's a really cool mode. We're really excited. And one of the reasons we built these two modes is this concept of new ways to play. Right? People love our game. They love Nightmare Dungeons. They love Whispers. They love Hell Tides. But what we really want to do is make sure we have enough canvas so that every user can find something that is uniquely suited to them. And that's what New Ways to Play is all about.
Me and my friends, we just love being able to have a bit of choice, which is really fun in Infernal Hordes in the current season, for example, and being able to tailor exactly how messed up we want this level to get is really fun. So the fact that it's getting applied to more aspects of Diablo that's awesome to hear. But between now and the Season 6 launch and Vessel of Hatred, what other activities can players get up to whilst they wait?
I mean, really, is jumping into Season 5. Like you were talking about, Season 5 continues the pace of Season 4. You can level up really fast. It's very exciting. The Infernal Hordes is a great new mode. Which is fun. It's sort of a horde mode where wave after wave are coming after you. You can go and fight the Fell Council to get your rewards from that. But that's really the big thing. And just even if you haven't played through the campaign yet, that's one of the nice things about on the Vessel of Hatred is that it is a continuation of that story. So where Neyrelle left at the end of the game, you can pick that story up and you get to continue and play. So if you haven't played through the campaign yet, now's a great time. And I would be, I have to also do the pitch, right? Like,
go on.
It's an awesome time to pre-purchase the expansion. One of the things we had some great incentives before, where you get the new cat mount, you get new armor, you get pets now, you have snow leopard and the tiger that'll follow you around and pick up stuff for you. But with last night, we actually added 2 more, where not only do you have angel wings that we had before, we added demon wings last night. So if you've already, so if you've already pre-purchased, you'll get your demon wings. They're coming, or they're there. But it's a good time. And then we actually added with the deluxe and the ultimate edition, we've actually added 1 month of ultimate Game Pass. So if you haven't jumped in yet, or if you want to add an extra month onto your subscription, pick up the pre-purchase, and you'll get an extra month. And I already got my code last night. I watched the show, got back to my hotel room, and there was my code for a month of Ultimate, so it was awesome.
Now you got to find some other games to play while you're on that as well. In between Diablo.
Is that possible? I don't know if that's possible.
That's true. I mean, I've already put in quite a few hours into the current season, and it's so much fun as is, and I just can't wait to see the Season 6 drop as well, and Vessel's looking great, new class as well. I mean,
thank you so much.
I don't know what else I'm going to play in the meantime. You guys have just killed all my free time.
Well, it's great. When it's the nice thing is we have a demo on the booth here. We have the whole Hantu corrupted, temple, and it's actually got a 20-minute demo of the Spiritborn. And what's great about it is you go in and you can pick whether you want to be a gorilla type, or a centipede type, or a jaguar type, or an eagle type, based on the Spirit Guardians. But then when it sort of clicks in after you played it for a little bit, like, wait, these aren't 4 different classes. This is one class with this amount of variety that I can apply to it. And so you can go in and double down on the jaguar. Like my shirt says, like, if you can be a jaguar, be a jaguar, right? Like, but you also can be, you can mix and match. You can be half centipede, half gorilla, and create really cool mixtures and unique play styles. And so, it's really exciting to watch people get their hands on. This is the first place that, outside of press and content creators, people have been able to play, and it's been fun just to watch them play.
Well, half centipede and half gorilla is a disturbing image to end on, but thanks a lot. You're going to stick around because we need to talk about that. Rex, Aislinn, thanks so much for joining us. Changing gears now, though, we are, for those of you who have been counting down the days to September's Diablo Immortal major update, we've got a sneak peek at the making of Immortal's hellish bosses, including the rebirth of the Dark Lord of Terror himself.
Are unspeakable horrors that you are fighting.
Our boss experiences aren't something that you can get in any other game.
We are giving players this heightened sense of horror.
We have to deliver the player with experience that they're the hero.
I think the spectrum of bosses that we have definitely hit everybody's personal horror stories.
So we're like 50 bosses now. Some of our bosses in Immortal are incredibly deadly. And we're really proud to be able to actually have the ability to bring Diablo back into our universe.
Everything that Diablo does, everything that Diablo says needs to be unnerving, terrifying.
It is going to be a very, very difficult battle.
The music changes, the environment changes, and all of a sudden, you have to fight for your life.
The process of designing a Diablo boss is usually quite organic.
It really depends on the boss. Sometimes it starts with a cool mechanical idea. Sometimes it starts with kind of a narrative germ.
The story team is going to have a lot of say in terms of like, what is the fiction behind the boss? And so what is the feel behind the boss?
In some zones, we are going to lavish incredible build-up on a boss, especially the final boss. In Tristram Cathedral, before you fight Albrecht, the first Shardborn, there's a whole quest line that has you exploring the ruins of Leoric Manor and learning about his past. And so at the end, when you face him, there's this context and kind of a richness to the things that he is saying to you.
Your flesh will hush the voices.
That if you are paying attention to the dialogue, will maybe resonate a little bit more emotionally.
Do you see how much stronger I've become?
Once they have the mechanics down and how they feel the battle should go, then they get all that together and then it gets passed off to art.
When it comes to designing a Diablo boss, there definitely is a long list of visual elements that we go to. Spikes, demon horns, rotten skin, decaying skin, burnt skin, different diseased skin. How do we stretch the skin out to make it look really uncomfortable? We take different parts of the body and then we twist them in very uncomfortable, awkward ways. We love using different humanoid bodies and then almost melting them together. The intention in creating Diablo bosses is to instill a general feeling of unease. So if it starts to feel like we have pushed it too hard, that's usually the comfort spots.
We have so many different representations of evil and horror, so no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, you can always bet that there is something in our game that is going to terrify you.
So we have many different kinds of bosses in Diablo Immortal. Bosses that are almost too big for the level. They're not mobile. You only see the top half of their bodies. We have tanks where the main goal is to just get this big, giant hunk of meat and beat it up until it dies. We have co-op bosses that are, better with friends, working together as a team to really take on these puzzles that the bosses present. And then we have mind-bending bosses that really change the way you play the game, what your perception is of the boss. But my favorite boss in the game is the Butcher.
Bringing the Butcher into Diablo Immortal was quite a journey for us because it is such a beloved character in the Diablo lore.
When I was playing Diablo 1 for the first time, there was this shock associated with encountering the Butcher. You open the door, he steps out, he's cleaving you very, very fast. You're like, I've never seen anything like this before. What the hell is happening? I'm dead.
We wanted the Butcher to be the real Butcher from the first Diablo. So it was kind of like, how do we bring him into our game? And what can we make more special about this particular encounter?
Our Butcher is super intimidating. He's a gigantic boss, towering above the player.
This is the Butcher that was basically too angry to die. He's just shoving his guts back in. He's got the chain that he throws. He's got the rush, he's got the fire coming out of the ground, and it's just a fun, nostalgic fight. We've been building towards this encounter with Diablo since the launch of the game.
Diablo is the Lord of Terror. His food and drink is the fear of other beings.
He has this very recognizable silhouettes with his giant horns on his head and also down his back. He has this very intimidating smile that is signature to Diablo.
Diablo having a World Stone shard means he's entering the nuclear age. He is now walking around with a weapon of mass destruction to bend reality, to perhaps create new realities.
The whole team is excited. It's electric. Getting to bring back Big Red and then unleash him not just on one boss fight, but on an entire zone, on Sanctuary itself.
This Diablo is going to deliver a very epic experience, as good as any other Diablo games.
It's going to be the best Diablo ever. I said it here first.
It is going to be possibly the most difficult battle in the game ever.
Well, they're called Lilith's Mightiest Warriors, and no, I'm not just talking about our guests here, but joining us once again, this time to tell us more about what we just saw. We've got Diablo's GM Rod Ferguson, and please welcome Diablo Immortal's executive producer, Pei Wen Yao.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining us, Pei Wen.
Thanks for having me.
What the hell was that all about? Are you kidding me? That's got huge implications for the lore of Diablo because you're bringing him back.
Yeah, well,
Tell me about this.
I mean, it's a thing that I don't think everybody really knows what Diablo Immortal is, really. So let's start with there.
Okay, fair.
Like, I think Diablo Immortal, the way to think about Diablo Immortal is our free-to-play offering in Diablo. It's a way to bring more players in. We wanted to go where the players are, and we were like, okay, not everybody is part of the mainline Diablo 4 world. So this is a way to reach players where they are. And so we have this great free-to-play, huge campaign, over 11 zones. You get 8 classes. We just added 2 over the last 2 years.
Best class.
The best, yes.
The best class.
With the Blood Knight and the Tempest, our new classes. And so it's really an exciting time. And so the story, the campaign, which is, again, over these 11 zones, is basically you're working with Deckard Cain to beat this demon Skarn. Now, what's happened is that this takes place between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. So that's why Deckard Cain's still alive, and we're able to bring Diablo back. So it's a really exciting time, and this is what this whole year has been leading up to. This is the year of the Age of Unmaking. This is the return of Diablo, and they've been building towards it for like over the last couple of years now.
Yeah, totally. I think, you can tell Diablo is very, very major character in the Diablo franchise, and we have that on our splash screen all the time. So I don't know if it's a plan, but this is truly the most important chapter of the story, that where it starts. And, Diablo is very, very significant because it's one of the original antagonists. It's one of the 3 prime evils. So I think in the history of Diablo story, Diablo world is Diablo has this reputation of corrupting people's minds, corrupting humanity, and twist people's minds. So when it comes down to the word, that means something is really going down.
So what does that mean for the people who are here at Gamescom? Do they get to experience that now, or what experience have you brought for them on the booth?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, we're really honored to be here, Gamescom. Like Rod mentioned, Diablo Immortal is our first take of mobile version of Diablo world, on the phone, on the smartphone. So our mission is to reach more audience, and that's why we come here at Gamescom. Today we brought into a beautiful booth right here.
That's great.
Yeah, this is one of the most important content and gameplay in our game called the Reliquary Boss. So Reliquary Boss in our game is basically it represents your power. It represents your power progression because all those bosses are your power gates. You have to beat them in order to get to the next difficulty level. So as you go through the game, you will feel you're getting stronger, and you're going to more difficulty level. You get more stuff, the loot and the dungeon and the zoom. Most important thing about Diablo Immortal is that we want to create this very sociable, very lifestyle kind of gameplay. So for Reliquary Boss, you can actually you can either play a solo, or you can bring your friends over there. And that's what we bring here. We built a tournament that 4 players come in to the booth and they can play, and you can just rank on the leaderboard and get awesome rewards.
Yeah, you have to beat 2 bosses, so there's like the 2 phases. You have to beat 2 bosses, and right now the fastest is about 2 minutes 45 to get through.
Think I got a shot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks.
No, I know you play a lot. That's
yeah,
good.
That's right.
But anybody can do it. But it's really interesting, like that what Pei Wen is talking about. There's been over 50 bosses made in this sort of these Reliquary bosses, and it's really exciting to see. It's part of the progression. So it's always fun to have these new and interesting and different types of fights to have. And the fact that it's on mobile, but also on PC, like you can play free to play on PC today, and it's a great experience.
So players at home can also still experience the Reliquary bosses right now, or
yeah.
Same content,
awesome.
Same game, and cross progression, cross play.
So tell me about then the build up to Diablo's return. What can players expect to? What kind of content can they get into right now and in the lead up to that content dropping?
Yeah, so next few months is going to be, like I said, it's going to be the most exciting story chapter of Diablo Immortal. It's going to divide into, like the main quest line, the storyline is going to divide into 2 parts. So we're going to keep some in the future, but the latest one that is going to come up is in September. It's a release we call it Crucible of Justice. This is where the story, we're going to review a very, very powerful weapon. It's called the Eldrim. It's a holy sword. And the player is going to go through the mission, the quest of purify that sword, and that sword is the secret weapon to kill Diablo. So you have to find the sword and purify it, goes through the ritual. And for player, the ritual, I think if you play Diablo Immortal, player is the hero. You play the hero, you save the sanctuary, you save the humanity, but the sanctuary is corrupted, it's dark, and that darkness casts into players as well. So the ritual of purifying this Eldrim is actually a symbolic move of player that they willing to sacrifice themselves for the humanity, and that they want to prove themselves to be worthy to use the Eldrim, the holy sword, to kill Diablo. So that is the first part of the September release, and then we're gonna save the second part to the December, our holiday time, and we're gonna release the second part, which is the most exciting part, that you're finally gonna face the Diablo. And with the Diablo boss itself, we also introduce a amazing zone. It's called the War's Crown. Zone is one of our very, very important content in the game as well. It's beautifully designed. Not traditional concept of beautiful, but it's...
I don't think I've ever heard the word skin used so many times. I'm a little concerned, but I'll trust you guys.
It fits the word. It's beautifully designed. It's very dedicatedly, created. And it's icy, it's barren. And it's that way is because Diablo travels through that continent and transforms the place. So it's like very depressing, all the cast coming down to the earth. Well, that's why, players are here to save the world. And when player travels through this War's Crown, you're gonna encounter a lot of enemies. You're gonna defeat them. Eventually, you're gonna encounter Diablo as the final boss.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrael. Tyrael is like, when you think about recognizable characters in the Diablo lore, Tyrael, the Angel of Justice, is one of the top ones. And so this is what's really neat about the story, is that it takes Tyrael's sword, Eldruin, and that's the sword you have to use to defeat Diablo. And so that whole idea of, hey, while I've been fighting Skarn and getting these World Stone shards, I've become corrupted and I have to get purified over in the Cold Isles so that I can actually be worthy of this sword. And taking that sword and then being able to use it against Diablo is just a really cool moment.
I mean, you said in the video as well that this fight with Diablo will be the toughest fight players have ever... I mean, is that true? What are you possibly throwing at us? Because you also just showed us like a 20-foot butcher. So, what's Diablo? What's he going to do to us? Anything you can share there?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm going to see how much I'm going to spoil here. But Diablo boss is going to be the hardest one that the player is going to encounter. Because Diablo is such a classic character, so we still take a lot of, the classic skills from Diablo. So, it's still featuring fire, lightning. So if you go to the battle, have some equipment, have some gears that with the fire and lightning resistance will be helpful.
I remember.
And because you're bringing the Eldrim to the battle, right? So when Diablo calls all his Diablo soldiers, and they will swarm over to you, and you have to beat them really, really fast. And that beat up of those enemies actually going to recharge your Eldrim. It's gonna make the Eldrim ready to, make it good use. So and by the end, I'm not gonna hint the real end.
Oh, come on.
The real end, you're gonna see this beautiful cinematics that shows how player take Eldrim and eventually kill the Diablo. So.
That's all so exciting. I can't wait to... Well, I'm going to have to go and set a time on the booth to make sure I get a chance at that leaderboard. But I want to thank you both.
So we have the Inaria statue, the really big one that's the size of
yeah,
man. I want it.
Yeah, you're going to fight me for it. I'm taking it.
I can't. They're going to kick me
That's
out.
what we're doing straight afterwards. We're all going down, and I'm going to come out on top, all right? Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Gamescom as well. Coming up, though, the team from Stalker 2 is here with the latest from the sequel, Heart of Chernobyl. Sick. Plus, we've also got a look at the newest Xbox accessories that are enabling players everywhere to play the way that they want. And later on, we're going to explore the newest Starfield expansion, Shattered Space, and find out why fans everywhere are setting aside gigs of space to explore even more of this epic open world. But first, do you know what's great? Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, take a look at this.
Welcome to the gameplay commentary of our new game, Lonely Mountain Snowriders, which is the spiritual successor to Lonely Mountains Downhill. It's a skiing game in which players need to find their own way down the mountains in a wild and beautiful mountainscape. Our most important new features are a real-time online multiplayer in which up to 8 players can play cooperatively or in a competition, as well as a new trick system that allows you to pull off awesome-looking flips, spins, grabs, or super cool combinations of them all. We focused a lot of the development time on the controls and to make the feeling of carving down the slopes as smooth and fun as possible. Skiing is all about using the terrain in your favor. You need to gain the maximum momentum to do the longest jumps and use the best shortcuts. On top of that, you can also do tricks, ride backwards, or cross rivers and icy lakes. The game features 4 different game modes. The online multiplayer racing mode is all about crossing the finish line first, while in the team mode, you and your team members have to ride and do tricks together to ramp up the highest score and beat all the challenges. You can also pick each other up after a crash and place checkpoints as a group. In the solo mode, you have to beat challenges to unlock new mountains and trails. You can also try to reach the top of the leaderboards, or beat your own ghosts. This is the mode that will be most familiar to players of our previous game. And last but not least, there is the new Zen mode. Here, you can ride all trails without any kind of pressure and freely explore the mountains to find secret spots or just enjoy the beautiful landscape. Whether you're playing multi or single player, you will gain experience to level up your profile, unlock new ski types and trick poses, and a large variety of customization items. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
I like it. I'm a cut piece if I like it. I like it. I like it. I'm not the carbon copy. I'm the original. I'm dropping these like copies. I like it. I like it. Like it. Like it. I like it. If it's got speed, I'm driving. I'm just 6 on the island. I like it. I like it.
The Xbox Game Pass hype is real, and right now it's easier than ever to join the party, especially if you play on PC. Why? Because PC Game Pass is designed for PC players. Get new games on day one like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on October 25th. Play some of the biggest games of the year and unlock partner benefits from Riot Games and EA Play. And if you're not already a PC Game Pass member, join now and get your first month of PC Game Pass for $1 or €1. This offer won't last long, so act now. But first, this post-apocalyptic horror action title is set against 64 kilometers of eerie, explorable area. It's also one of the most anticipated games of the year, and here to bring us back into the zone with some never-before-seen gameplay of Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, please welcome game director Eugene Grigorovich. Eugene, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting.
No, honestly, it is so exciting. We've got it on the booth here at Gamescom. I've been able to get hands-on. I'm so excited for you to take us through what you've brought with us today. But how's your first Gamescom?
The previous was a year ago when we bring our demo, which was shown just on the PC.
Yeah.
And today we are bringing another demo, which we launch on Xbox Series X. And from our experience, it's looking very good. And we are happy for what we bring here and what we get the first impression from the players and the press. And till now, I'm happy from what they are telling us about the Xbox build.
Yeah, I got to have hands-on with it, and it is so much fun. because what we're going to do as well is we're going to hop straight into the gameplay that you're going to talk us through. So anyone watching who's excited to see Stalker 2 for the first time, if they haven't already, can see what they're going to be getting their hands on. So what are you are we going to bring the gameplay up? So we've got it on our screens. So as we go, if you want to talk us through this gameplay, so we can know what we've got coming up.
Yeah. I'll take this part. So here the player is doing his first quest, and he got a scanner, a device. Player at this point doesn't know a lot about how it works and what it's for. He just got information that it somehow recharged an artifacts that's put it inside it, and that if it got successful, it's gonna bring a lot of let's say money. Maybe something else. So at this point, player don't know what is the goal of the character, why he's doing it, and he's learning the story about your character also by doing this quest line.
Because this is actually the bit that they've got on the show floor here, isn't it? At the start of the game. Because I had so much fun. I get what you mean as well when you're just trying to discover what exactly it does, and the storyline sets that up. But what about the combat in the game as well? Because we can kind of see our first fight here.
Yeah. So it's a group of bandits. They were resting just nearby in their camp and doing their cheeky-breaky stuff. And then they saw that something happened. A wall was destroyed with a huge noise. They just turned up going to see what's happening and found you, a player, and
it's amazing as well, because I found myself when I was playing this I was like the flashlight turning on and off, and like you can also like lean round corners, can't you, to kind of like engage fights from like a bit of cover.
Yeah, so it's very important in this game to have a proper tactics. You should hide a lot. You should use your medkits. You should survive grenades, because AI is very pushing and challenging. They trying to outcome you, to go from other side, and it's pretty stressful. So it's a first fight. It's very simple fight against 3 bandits, but as from what we can see, it's often lead you to several deaths.
It's very unforgiving as well, and we just see as well. I found that it's like a big part of the game is like looting. So what kind of things should people be looking out for when they're looting?
Yeah. So the part of the game. So while we are fighting, we are losing our resources, consumables, food, ammo, and after the fight finished, we have to get through the dead bodies' pockets to find some ammunition, maybe loot their camp to restore what we just spent, because without it, we just run out of ammo, and the player would be like stuck.
Because that's the big thing I have. I am very trigger happy when it comes to first-person shooters. Like, I fire way more bullets than I should. And then I found myself as well, I was like, I need to go check every building that I can because I need more ammo. Like, what kind of advice would you say for players hopping into Stalker 2 to spend their time in the world?
So, the reason why you should discover and look for some stashes in locations is not because you just want to find some items, but because it's interesting to discover this abandoned place where was some living some time ago, and where is some story behind it. And when you are just walking around and looking for the corners, and it's beautiful there, you can surprisingly find something stashed there, because it's a stalker stashes. They use some stashes for their next journeys, because they can bring like hundreds of thousands of kilograms. They have to make some stashes for there, and players sometimes find them, and it's often rewardable, and often it's very rewardable, because you can get a huge equipment boost by just going to some building you didn't expect to find anything there, but it could be there.
That's what I found. I found myself like an assault rifle when I just had a pistol to start with. I was like exploring buildings and found that. But the game also, it looks amazing.
Yeah, this is the start of a next fight. The player, we have some stealth mechanics.
Yeah.
So it's not very as you used to have a stealth in the game. It doesn't offer you like ability to be invisible for enemies. No, they will see you and shoot you. But at least it allows you to get slightly closer, to find better position to start the fight, and or maybe to initiate the fight with a grenade, so it would be easier for you, and then the fight is pretty challenging.
Yeah.
And you have to watch your hit points and your state, because you could be bleeding, and you have to use a bandage to stop this bleeding, because it's gonna last for long, and you're gonna lose a lot of hit points if you not stop and use the bandages.
Yeah, because you have multiple ways of healing, don't you? You've got like the bandages to stop the bleeding, but there's like different types of med kits that you can find as well.
You can have a regular med kits, medical med kits, and an army med kit.
Yeah.
And they provide additional boosts, but mostly it's restoring the hit points. But also, if you are not in the fight and you just need to recover a small portion of health, you can just eat, and it will also bring you a small portion of hit points.
See, that's what I loved as well. I found like there's so much resource management that you have to like pay attention to in Stalker, which really gives you a different challenge. So it's like you said, if you don't eat, you're going to perform worse in gunfights.
Yeah, so you have to watch about your state, just like you're watching about yourself. So we try to bring this simulation or atmosphere as you being the real human that goes to Chernobyl exclusion area with your backpack, with some food, and you just have to do the same things to survive in the game as in life, because you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to like you fall, you broke your leg, you have to use some medkits to survive this, and that's what we are doing here.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, it's one of those things. I'd recommend it to anyone. If you haven't had the chance to just play the original Stalker as well, because when I got to play here, you just think and approach gunfights so differently, because there is that like risk element, and some of the enemies, like I was jumping out of my skin because there was like a camouflaged opponent that I came across in the demo here at Gamescom. And like, can you tell us a little bit more about the enemies that we're going to face?
Yeah, so the zone is inhabited by different factions. There are factions that came from the first Stalker trilogy, and there are new factions, and they have a story behind them of how they appear, what is their goals, and for the player, it would be interesting to uncover and discover these stories. And it's important to mention that from one walkthrough, the player won't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So you had to have several walkthroughs to get all these pieces together, or you could discuss it with your friend who choose some other path, and you can share the information about what you see to each other, and you uncover, oh, I didn't expect that it would happen like this.
Yeah.
So it's, for me, I find it should be interesting for people to discuss their experience with each other.
Yeah, we also saw just beforehand, right, we can actually see the scanner going on right now. Can you talk us through this?
It's echo scanner, it's a simple scanner, you just beep, and the faster it beeps, the nearer is an artifact.
Yeah.
You can collect an artifact just by using scanner, and at this point, player faced that Bloodsucker. It's a canonical enemy in Stalker series. He has an ability to become invisible for player, and we found that from the feedback of the players and from what we see that he's doing quite challenging thing for the players, and but also it's very rewarding, because when you start playing the game and you start facing some challenge for the first time, you may die, second time you may die, but after it becomes easier for you, and at some point you become master of the game, and everything is easy for you, but it takes time to learn the game.
This terrified me. Like, honestly, I was there going like, wait, at first I was like, what's attacking me? And I was like, how do I counter this? And I was like, suddenly realized there was a camouflaged opponent attacking me. It's like, I love that in this game, though, is there are so many challenging enemy components. Whether you're fighting bandits, whether you're like fighting these sort of enemies, and then I was like looting everything. I became like a loot goblin, where I was going into every building and just trying to find as many medkits so that I could stay alive.
And there is also a lot of pieces of content just near the locations. This is not a main quest. It's often not a side quest. It's just some encounters or narrative little stories to bring you an experience of discovering this real location, real zone. And it's not a fake world. It's full of small pieces.
Yeah.
And for me, I find it very interesting to discover. Even if I know the game pretty much, it's still the world map is so huge. So even for me, going back to some locations make me feel, oh, I didn't expect to find it here. Or they bring something here also. So for me, it's also like I feel the same wow effect when I discover something for me.
You really get rewarded for spending that time to look around the world and kind of try and find those caches, and it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, it's one of the main goal in making this game is to bring as much freedom and allow player to be as he wants to be or she wants to be, to play the role they feel that works for them, and the player could like start being very rude and cruel, and they can act totally different in this game as like a player who wants to be on the friendly side. So there are a lot of freedom. It's rewarding. So even being cruel is rewarding, but there is a balance. Like the game will also punish you for something.
No, 100%. And I think one of the main things is for everyone who's been watching and wants to get their hands on the game, when are they going to be able to play?
It's November, so it's not so much time left. And for us, we are like every day counts. We are doing everything possible to bring this as Polish gameplay as possible, and I hope you enjoy it.
Well, honestly, from what I played at Gamescom, I can't wait to play it more. But thanks so much for stopping by. You can get Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl on November 20th. And of course, it launches day and date on Xbox Game Pass as well. But now to a new line of Xbox accessories, making a splash here at Gamescom. Take a look. So thank you so much, Eugene. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Play video games.
Good job.
Leo has issues with his motor ability. He doesn't have access to a lot of things.
There's so many disabled people that deserve a shot to be like everyone else.
I want to be a part of this world.
So this is my Xbox adaptive joystick.
It allows her to use the controller without using both hands.
It just clicked to him. This is a joystick, I manipulate the character, and this is how I'm gonna move myself.
You've got every button covered.
This is how we do it.
This is my thumbstick topper. You can get different sizes, and this is what I use to make it easier to maneuver. You can get files from the Xbox Line Lab. Then you can go somewhere else and get it printed.
Be yourself, design it how you want. You're playing with your Xbox controller.
Right side, right side.
With the Xbox controller assist, when he needs help, when he gets stuck, I can at least hit the gas for him. Then he can control the rest. Having the joystick levels the playing field for him.
Your character, he can fly. He can do everything you can't do.
He enjoys winning and will definitely let you know when he does.
Big news!
news for all gamers everywhere. We've got some new accessories designed to give gamers more ways to play. And here with all the details, please welcome Xbox Principal Designer Chris Kudrowski and Senior Accessibility Product Manager Caitlin Jones. Welcome to Gamescom.
Thank you,
Maxie.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How's Cologne treating you? All good?
I love it here.
Yeah.
Amazing.
First time in Gamescom. This is pretty exciting.
Oh, wow, first time.
Yeah.
Okay, the full week ahead of you. I can't wait for you to see it. So I can't believe the Xbox Adaptive Controller launch is 6 years ago. But you didn't stop there. So what's new in the world of gaming and accessibility?
Yeah, thanks, Maxie. So as you saw, we just announced our Xbox Adaptive Joystick. It's a wired controller that is designed to be a companion for our Xbox Adaptive Controller as well as other Xbox controllers. And that will be available to customers in 2025, early on in 2025. As well as our Xbox Adaptive toppers that you can create with Xbox Design Labs. And these are really great, I think, especially for players who might have some difficulty using the thumbsticks on their controllers. They can choose from different shapes, customize the sizes, the height, and the width, and attach them to their adaptive joystick as well as their Xbox Wireless or Elite Series 2 controller, and really customize the way that they interact and grip with those thumbsticks on those controllers to meet their unique needs. So overall, we're just really excited to continue to expand the ways that players can play the games that they want to play and also how they want to play. But it doesn't just stop with our Xbox accessibility offerings. We also have some really fantastic partners through our Design for Xbox program, including BioWave and 8bit2, who are also announcing some exciting accessibility news today.
And with everything in your line of work, the feedback from the community is crucial. And the gaming and disability community was also instrumental in feedback for creating the joystick. Can we hear more about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And certainly at Xbox, we are firm believers in the saying nothing about us without us, meaning we do not create accessible devices or features for the disability community, but rather we need to create them with the disability community. They are collaborators and they're the experts in their own experiences and needs. So from very early on with the adaptive joystick, we had our disability community be hands-on with early designs and functional prototypes, and I know Chris will share a little bit more about that on the hardware design side. But even from a software perspective, we really heard from our players that they wanted an affordable joystick for their adaptive controller so they can easily find that and have that as a resource to them, but also something that fit in seamlessly with their existing setups. So we knew it was important to create something that was highly customizable. You can remap all of the buttons on the joystick, you can create different profiles, you can connect it to your Xbox Adaptive Controller for a full adaptive setup, but you can also use it without your Xbox Adaptive Controller. You can plug it directly into your console or PC and use it alone, or employ Xbox Controller Assist to link it with another controller and kind of play that way. So all in all, the disability community's involvement is absolutely critical in everything that we do, and we're so grateful to have them as co-collaborators and designers in these processes.
So many options. So how did the community feedback inform the final design of the adaptive joystick?
Yeah, like Caitlin mentioned, we're always looking for that feedback. And for this device in particular, we actually visited a hospital in Seattle that uses gaming as therapy for some of their spinal injury patients. So what that means is we went there with a box of prototypes, got feedback on the grip size, the shape, the number of buttons, where the buttons were located. They liked some of the stuff, they didn't like some of the stuff, and that's exactly why we're there. One of the most important things that we took away from that meeting was the importance of having the controller be mountable. Lets you put it in a lot of different positions, hold it stable if you're not able to hold the controller in your hand. So we added this threaded insert here that's the same one you'd find on a camera tripod or actually on the adaptive controller as well. And so that really allows you to use non-hand body parts with the controller easily. So we took that feedback and then used it to iterate on the design.
Wow. And just curious, how does that process look like of creating? Do you do Do you 3D print prototypes? Do you mold? What do you do?
We do both of those things. Usually, I like to start making something that goes in your hand by making it by my own hands. So we'll take a block of foam, carve that away. We'll take a 3D print, add clay to it, and then sand it away. And I'm doing this in the design lab, in the workshop in my garage. And we're just really iterating constantly to get the feel right, to get the ergonomics right, the position of the buttons right. We usually start with a very primitive form and then add those details throughout the design process. One of the other things that's really important from my perspective as a designer, and this maybe sounds obvious, it's an Xbox controller. It should look like an Xbox controller. So many of the adaptive products that gamers have to use, they might look like hospital equipment or something you have to use rather than something you'd want to use. Like Xbox makes cool products. We want our gamers to want to use the products, and so using the same form language, the same color, material, and finish really helps it feel like a part of the Xbox family, and that goes a long way in removing some of the stigma that's associated with using adaptive products, and that's a really important thing that I think design and Xbox brings to the table here.
Yeah, it looks very well next to the adaptive controller, traditional Xbox controller, so good job. Good job. One question. So I heard the rumor that the idea of the 3D printable topper files came from an internal hackathon event. Is that true?
That is true. Very similar to the Xbox adaptive controller years ago. The adaptive thumbstick toppers were born from a hackathon project. So hackathon is a week where Microsoft employees get to take a break from their day job and work on a passion project. And this particular team was inspired by really the high cost of adaptive accessories and doing custom setups like that. So knowing that 3D printers are a lot more available for at home or as a service, they combine these two ideas to create a great range of products that offer gamers a lot more options to customize their setup just to exactly what they need.
And so much goes into the creation of these accessibility offerings, and especially what did the development for the 3D printable files for the adaptive thumbstick toppers look like? Who did you work with?
Yeah, very similar to the adaptive joystick and all of our other accessibility offerings. We, again, partnered directly with the disability community, specifically a lot of hospitals and gaming accessibility charities that were doing a lot of 3D printing work. So we worked with them directly and kind of just asked, what are the most common shapes and designs that you all are creating or that you find work best for your players? And that's actually what informed the final 6 shapes that we have available today. So very direct, working with them and getting that feedback. Something that we also learned, though, by working with them is that, not everyone needs a full-on adaptive setup. Sometimes just minor modifications to how you interact with your thumbstick can be the difference that allows someone to play longer, more comfortably. It can also be the difference whether you can play all together. So based on that, we did want to create something that was available, discoverable, and easily customizable for customers, because through working with our disability community, again, more and more learnings nonstop, it's always coming in. We did learn that, not everyone has access to easily connect with these hospitals or these more tech-savvy maker communities or charities that are customizing these designs and printing them. And also not everyone at home knows how to 3D model and customize their own shapes at home. So with the Xbox Design Lab platform, it's as simple as picking your shape, using sliders to adjust the height and the width of those shapes, and you're given a free 3D printable file that you can then take to a printer. If you have access to, you can use a 3D printing service, and it's as simple as customizing from there with no 3D modeling knowledge required.
I love that. But what I love more is that you not only support the community with creating accessories, you also support partners, third-party developers in bringing their designs to life. So can you share about a little bit more who you're partnering with?
Yes. And I will say I am just personally so grateful and excited that we do have so many Design for Xbox partners who are just really committed to making gaming for everyone. Some of the specific partners that we've been working with recently on the accessibility front are BioWave. So back in May, they announced their Proteus controller, which is a modular controller that allows you to really build your own unique setup that works best for you. And very exciting today, that controller is now available. In addition to BioWave, 8-Bit Do is both announcing and available today their Lite SE wireless controller. So all in all, when it comes to accessibility, a rising tide floats all boats, and we're just excited that our players have more and more options within the Xbox ecosystem to really choose what works best for them.
That's a lot of great news that you have today. So is there any place where we can look up all of the accessibility offerings?
Yes, to find out more about any of this accessible hardware that we've just talked about today, you can see the Xbox Wire blog post. Or if you happen to be here at Gamescom like us, you can visit us in the Here to Help area in the Xbox consumer booth. You can get hands-on with any of the products, do some live demos. And if you're here on Friday, you can see Caitlin in a discussion panel in the community area as well.
Thank you so much to both of you for coming. And also I want to say thank you so much for making our booth accessible so everybody feels welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Maxie.
Yeah.
Coming up, we'll get a look at the first expansion from Starfield, find out what happens when nuclear disaster in the quaint British countryside converge in atomfall. And Age of Mythology fans, stay tuned. We'll take a look at what you can expect from the latest in the series. But first, it's time to explore ARY26 once again in Revenge of the Savage Planet.
Stuck on a planet with nowhere to poop?
The juiciest burgers in the galaxy. Burger Squirt.
Wacky Extreme Learning Smartbot from Hot Whiz.
Radical. I smush it down my throat.
Our new Ding Dong.
Greetings, brave explorer. We here at Alta Interglobal would like to welcome you to our newest venture, the colonization of space. You've spent almost a century hurtling through the universe in cryosleep, ready to begin your work on this strange alien planet. Unfortunately, changing market conditions have led us to the realization that space exploration is far too costly and unpredictable, and Alta has decided to cancel all future plans in space. I regret to inform you that you have therefore been made redundant. Your final check has been sent. We thank you for your service, and we hope you eventually find a way home. Good luck.
What started as a journey to the Savage Planet has turned into revenge. Here with more on what fans can expect from Revenge of the Savage Planet, please welcome producer Noémie Lecourier and creative director Alex Hutchinson. Thanks so much for joining us.
We're very happy to be here.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank you.
How's your Gamescom going so far?
Very good.
Very good. Busy.
Yes.
It always is. There's so many games to play, so many things to see. But Alex, it's been a journey getting here, and not only to the sequel to fans, but also to evolve the game as a whole. Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty crazy half a decade for not only us, but for the entire games industry. So we originally began as a studio called Typhoon Studios. We made Journey to the Savage Planet, we were acquired by a large multinational. The pandemic happened. We updated the game, and on the day we shipped, that same multinational made us all redundant. So we found ourselves sitting around trying to figure out what to do. But luckily, we decided to reform. So we're a new studio, Raccoon Logic, and we've made this new game, Revenge of the Savage Planet.
Yeah, and Naomi, can you kind of talk about the world that we live in with Revenge of the Savage Planet? Have we got the gameplay that we can push up? But
before that,
I think Alex is going to talk.
Before that. So obviously, some of the big changes are that we've switched to third person in this one. It's still, a game about exploring the world, interrogating everything that you see. It's filled with wonderful, wacky, weird creatures. It's 4 planets now instead of 1 planet. So there's lots more to do and lots more to see.
Yes. So we basically can survey, scan everything. And collect and catalog. Here, as you explore the world, you're going to discover rewards, things to collect as well. The rewards are blocked by encounters with alien creatures, as well as puzzles and navigation challenges. So lots of fun here.
Yeah.
It looks so cute. Like even the trailer, but in the trailer beforehand, it's like all the creatures. It's like adorable.
And you know it's a sequel when you're swimming.
Just it happens every single time.
Every
You've got
time.
to add water in. If you go in, no water.
Exactly.
Second time thing. But Alex, there's obviously a ton of creativity by the team to produce an incredible world. But perhaps players' take on its obstacles can be equally as creative. So in the world, like how are players going to approach the obstacles that they face?
Yeah, so we've taken a really systemic approach to open world design. So it's still a Metroidvania. You're still being blocked by different obstacles. You need to go back to your habitat and upgrade your tools to get through them. But what we wanted to do was have a Metroidvania where there's a single lock, but multiple keys. So you see different types of objects. Say if it's a cracked wall that you need to blow up, you could do it with a grenade. You could find a creature that explodes. Anything that generates an explosion will get you through. And so hopefully, as you see in this video, there's a little bit more systemic chaos than most games of its type.
So there's lots of creative ways to kind of like solve the problem.
Exactly.
So you can have a bit of fun with it, and every time you play it as well, you're going to get those different experiences.
Exactly.
Another way players can make their game their own is through customization. You know what I mean? Can you talk us through customization?
Yes, absolutely. So we've added tons of new outfits in the game. You can mix and match between the different outfits. So whether it's the helmet, the boots, or the gloves, all the outfits are inspired by sci-fi themes, famous like Star Trek. Here we can see some of the suits here, as well as like Power Rangers. So
if you put on the red shirt, you get killed immediately in the game, but you reprint.
What have you got wrong with the red shirt?
It's just a trope. It's just a trope.
You also have a habitat where you will find all the main modules, like you see here, the PC that you will use throughout the game. But there's also another section that you can fully customize with lots of things. So as you explore the world, you will find Alta crate containing Alta bucks you can spend in the Alta store on furniture, accessories, and basically a lot of useless junk to really make the space your own. So I hope players have a lot of fun with that.
It's like my own flat all over
there
again. You go. Just lots of stuff from Gamescom will kind of like come with me. By the end of it, I'll have plushies for days. But co-op is such a big part of the game as well. Can you kind of talk us through that, Alex?
Yeah, so a lot of the team members have worked on different 2-player co-op games, whether it was Army of Two or Far Cry 4. We've had a lot of success with it. We think it's an intimate way to play with your best friend, your partner, your kid. And this time we've made sure you can do it in any way you can imagine. So there's not only network co-op, but there's split-screen co-op you can play on the couch, and even cross-play, so you can play on any system with any other system.
I love playing split-screen games as well. Like I grew up playing with my brother. Like every single game that we get our hands on to do split-screen, that was always the way I went and played.
Perfect.
Yeah, also, it's so good you've been able to return to this franchise and bring tons to the fans. This game looks so fun, it feels like fun, and went to create it. Alex, can you tell us what you think the magic is for this game and what makes fans love it so much?
I think it's humor. You know, you see a lot of games that are very grey, very brown, very serious, and we wanted to get back to a world that was fun, that was upbeat, that was optimistic. We like the idea of exploring space because it's fun, and you're going to find something exciting. You're not going to find Matt Damon on the moon, you know, eating poop mushrooms or Mars. So, like, hopefully people see that the humor in this is in the gameplay as well as the script, you know? That the joke we always tell is that, you know, I can write a one-liner that's funny once, but slapping your best friend to their death off a cliff is funny forever.
Yeah, you can just kick them off in as many creative ways as possible.
Exactly.
Like just trying to get through that cracked wall. But also, really importantly, when a player's going to be able to get their hands on the game.
So it's going to come out sometime next year, 2025. For more info, you can go on the website, Savage Planet Game, and wishlist as well now.
Please wishlist.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't wait to come and have a go with it as well. So thank you so much for joining us as well. And have you got any final words as well that you want to share with fans?
No, we just please wishlist on whatever platform you like, and we'll show you some more gameplay soon.
No, honestly, thank you so much. But coming up, we've taken a spin in some new wheels and a turn with a new story in Starfield's first ever expansion, Shattered Space. But first, check out an action-adventure game about hope, robots, and the power of words. This is Dustborn.
We need to stick together. We need to be a crew. We're on the run from people with space guns built into their arms.
Dustborn isn't about making the big and immediate choices. It's about the little things that add up over time. The words spoken that affect relationships and moods, the decisions that stick with you and play out when you least expect them to, the actions that push your relationships in new directions.
I guess this explains why you're suddenly so eager to chase after the robots.
Oh, keeping secrets again, huh?
It's about making tough choices, about how to deal with the people in your crew, how to manage them and pull them together to do the job, and to make the compromises necessary to reach the end of the road and your own personal goals.
We'll be taking a different route north, through Liberty, Oregon.
Liberty? I would actually like an explanation.
I concur.
Think of the game as a way to write your own comic book as you play. Each chapter or issue starting with a new cover displaying what you're about to experience, and each of them ending with a comic splash screen. These pages present key choices made in the previous issue that could have an impact later on. Whether a dialogue line or event plays out because of a choice made by the player, an icon will appear in the top right corner of the screen, allowing you to really get a sense of what could have gone differently.
Stop it! Oh, what the hell, Pax?
What now?
Drive. In the comic splash, you'll have access to more data, such as global stats about how many other players received this particular consequence, allowing you to gauge how popular this choice was. Some choices lead to crew mood change, which can have an impact on your relationship with them, but also on their personal endings.
Are you just gonna hover?
We didn't finish our chat?
No, we were finished.
I'm worried about you, and I had more to say.
I'm sure, but I was done.
Every key crew member in the story receives one of 3 endings, or codas, based on choices made and actions taken by the player and Pax. Each coda is illustrated by a comic book-style splash screen, along with unique dialogues and events reflecting each character's current status. The player can at any time access the character codex to see which coda is the current favorite.
The crew respects you. When you're unhappy, they feel it. I'll keep that in mind.
Whenever a dialogue choice or action affects a coda, the screen will display a coda emoji, along with an animation that tells the player how important this choice was. It'll be up to you to decide how the road trip goes and how your relationships will evolve. Will Noam break away from their on-again, off-again relationship with Pax, or embrace it? Will Theo loosen up with the crew, or favor his boss status? Will Ziggy resolve her sister issues with Pax? Discover how it all unfolds in Dustborn. Available now.
What's the name of your band?
We're the Dustborn.
There is a dream that haunts me. A most dreadful nightmare, truly. It tears at me. The fortress of stone and valor, which I struggled to build, is now slowly crumbling into ruin. The land, caught in a perpetual autumn, yields to decay. A futile sacrifice remains ensnared, deep within the horns of the south. A shield, now weakened and cracked by time, fails to protect my people. A profound betrayal has befallen those most loyal. Your only despair. I am left paralyzed, powerless. Not more than a witness. My people, my legacy, everything is collapsing. They hailed me as the once and future king. Only now do I understand the horror of that title.
It's one of my favorite massive open world space adventures, and it's just got its first ever expansion coming up. Here with more on Starfield Shattered Space, please welcome lead creative producer Tim Lamb. Hi Tim, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Nice to meet you, Bex.
Awesome, it's lovely to speak to you today. So let's chat opening night live. We had a really fun look at a very vibey trailer about some vehicles. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
I can. So we released the Rev 8, super excited. The team is so happy to have this new element that adds to planet exploration in the game. So, we have these dynamic worlds with, dense terrain, lots of very interesting obstacles. And now those worlds are our playground to drive around on.
Heck yeah.
We have a lot of... In navigating that, we have vertical boost, forward boost, we have a weapon on there. It's a lot of different minute-to-minute, just fantastic gameplay opportunities for players.
Yeah, super exciting. And Vasco looked like he was having a good time as well in the back there. Love that. Now, let's talk a wee bit about the story in Shattered Space. It's very dark and mysterious. Could you tell me and everyone watching a little bit more about the story?
Yeah, so... I think there's a hopeful optimism in the giant sprawling adventure of Starfield. You go to a lot of different locations, you meet a lot of different types of people, the cast of characters there, and Shattered Space, that tone, that mood, we were able to sort of distill it down and focus it into a location in the game around Dasra City. So we get to meet that new House Faroon, the people there. There's a moment of strife that they had. We get to experience that with them now.
Yeah, they sounded a bit intriguing, shall we say, in the footage that we saw last night. So can you tell us a wee bit more about the House of Faroon and kind of who we'll be coming across?
So, I don't want to... No spoilers.
Sure.
You encounter a derelict star station, and this starts you on your adventure to meeting the Faroon. You end up in their home world, Varun Kai, in the city of Dasra. There's been a catastrophic event. You deal with the minor houses of the faction of House Faroon to sort of uncover the mystery of what happened, and then, resolve it as you do as a player.
Nice.
There's lots of choices in there for you.
Okay, very interested to find out what that story kind of leads us on to as well. Very good. Along with that story that we've been chatting about, there are some new game features as well as a huge new planet that we can explore. Could you tell us a bit more about those too?
So we have the city of Dasra. We focused... All of our effort has really been focused on the area around the city. So I think the beauty of it is that there's exploration, that you can find nooks and crannies in the game or little secret discoveries or locations you feel like, I know I'm coming back here. So there's an excitement there. Yeah, so it's that, I'm so excited about it.
Oh, I'm so excited as well. I mean, even in the trailer, we saw kind of a very summery, beachy vibe cruising around on our Rev 8 too. Have you taken it for a spin?
I have. No, I do. And I think Shattered Space is like a fantastic playground for it. Now, you can take the Rev 8 to any planet.
Yeah.
You can take it into Varun Kai, Varun's homeworld, and drive it there as well. But like we support, I think that's one of the great things about our games is we always support any type of play style. So it's like you can play with it, you can play without it, you can take it to Varun Kai, you cannot take it there.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll definitely be taking it for a spin as well when Shattered Space releases too. Was there anything else that you wanted to chat to us about for Starfield Shattered Space coming out? Anything we can look forward to?
You can. I think you can look forward to an interesting story, a handcrafted world, new weapons, new gear, new items that sort of alter the way you might think about Starfield.
Amazing. Well, Tim, I cannot wait to play it as well. And everyone watching at home as well, be sure to check out Starfield Shattered Space, launching September 30th with Xbox Game Pass. Thanks again for chatting with us. Now, next up, we're exploring, scavenging, and hopefully surviving the harsh world of Atomfall. But first, let's build a dungeon.
Hi there, I'm James, the designer of Let's Build a Dungeon, a game development simulator that's coming to PC and Xbox next year. We previously bought our game Let's Build a Zoo to Xbox Game Pass, so it's exciting to be back here sharing news of our next game. Today, we want to share a closer look at our multi-layered management sim, and also reveal some brand new features that we've never talked about before. Let's Build a Dungeon is designed to simulate every aspect of running a games studio, and that starts with designing something your virtual players will love. You get to decide which quests to put in the world, and whether you want to focus on a traditional RPG built around magic and combat, or something more cozy like fishing or running monster farms. And if you want even more control, we have an exclusive new mode to share with you. Creative mode is our sandbox, but it's a sandbox quite unlike any other. Not only do you have access to literally thousands of assets, buildings, and characters, in Let's Build a Dungeon, you can also tell your own story. We are developing a series of easy-to-use tools that lets you create almost anything, from a production-level dialogue editor that lets you create branching conversations, events, and rewards, to a full AI editor that lets you adjust anything from attack probabilities to spawn rates and weapons. We even have a tool that lets you draw your own pixel art characters, which will then automatically animate them for you. Our goal is to build a suite of tools that gives you as much control as we have when building our games. Games made by the community will be available for download, along with some titles made by developers like us here at Spring Loaded. Adding these tools felt like the natural extension of our game development simulator. Why stop at building the most detailed game dev sim ever created, when we can add elements of a game engine to give you a full, authentic experience? Hopefully, this short overview has given you an idea of what to expect from Let's Build a Dungeon when it ships next year.
Windscale, the pride of Britain. Nestled in the picturesque Lake District, the state-of-the-art atom plant has transformed this rugged landscape into the envy of its northern neighbors. Scientific progress waits for no one.
Wind scale. Everything changed when that bloody atom plant went up in flames.
Citizens of Wyndham, there has been an increase in bandit activity outside the village walls.
Temporary quarantine, they said? It's been bloody years.
They're hiding something from us. Something terrible.
My name's Molly. You got out to trade? I got bits and bobs for sale. Please be careful. It's more dangerous than you can possibly imagine.
Detected.
It's mystery mixed with folk horror weirdness, all set in a not-so-idyllic post-war British countryside, and believe it or not, it's based on a true story. Really? Well, here with more on Atomfall, please welcome Creative Director for Rebellion, Ben Fisher. How you doing, pal?
How you doing?
Welcome to Germany.
Thank you.
First time here, or?
I've been here for Gamescom before.
Yeah. But not with a game quite like this, right?
No, let's talk about that, Ben. Actually, you're right, Henry, because this is a huge departure from Rebellion's most famous series, let's call it Sniper Elite. Can you tell us about this sudden change of pace here?
Sure. I mean, it's similar and it's different in different aspects of the game. So we always value sandbox exploration and giving the player lots of freedom in their objectives. But at the same time, this is a survival action game with some sort of RPG-ish elements. There's skills, there's crafting. The story of the game unfolds as you explore. It's kind of a mystery game, so tonally quite different to Sniper Elite.
I love the exploration side of it. I mean, from what we just saw in the quick trailer, there's a lot going on. It's not just one sort of trope that you're sticking to. There's a lot to unpack. So maybe as we're checking out some gameplay that you brought along that we can experience, we can jump into some of the influences that have made it into this title. Because, like I said, it's a lot going on here, man. So let's check out some of this gameplay as well. Got to start off with a postbox.
Yeah.
Where else?
I mean, it's on your T-shirt as well.
Yeah.
It must be quite a core feature of Atomfall, I assume.
It is actually.
Ah.
As you explore the world of Atomfall, you're uncovering a mystery. You're discovering what's happened in this post-apocalyptic quarantine zone in 1950s north of England. Different characters will ask you to do things for them, and they might help in return. And one of the characters that you can interact with is this mystery phone voice. You don't know who they are, you don't know what they want, and you have to choose which characters you trust and don't trust in your exploration.
Kind of like Bosley, Charlie's Angels vibes coming through the phone.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. That's cool. Speaking about the story, and Henry, you mentioned it earlier. True story. Like, what is
Surely
that about?
Yes. Well,
Surely not.
Yeah. It's based on real-world disaster that happened. The first major nuclear disaster in the world was in Windscombe plant in Sellafield, so 1957. We wanted to use that as a jumping-off point for a story. So Jason Kingsley, one of the owners and founders of Rebellion, observed that there are lots of games that are kind of like post-atom storytelling, like post-atomic disaster storytelling, but none set around this first disaster that's happened in the world. So we took that as a starting point and then thought, what's a Rebellion kind of interpretation of that kind of event? So, like I say, we value that kind of sandbox exploration and player freedom, and then combine that with the sort of unique Britishness, and that led to the environment that we've got in the game. So it's kind of an alternate history story, and it's a mystery that you uncover what's happened. And as part of the process of building that game world, we looked back at 1950s storytelling. So references like the Quatermass series, which is one of the very earliest sci-fi serials, or like early Doctor Who, and things like that. So like UK TV Gold kind of cultural reference points that even if people don't know the reference itself, they know the influences that came from it. And at the time, there wasn't a clear distinction between like folk horror and sci-fi and those kind of stories. So it's a blend, it's a natural blend in the storytelling style of the 50s.
And of course, you have to chuck some cricket bats in there for good measure. I mean, the combat's pretty crunchy, right? I mean, this is, like you say, a bit of a departure from Sniper Elite, which is typically long range, but in here we're getting right up, even the fact that it's first-person camera as well. Like, these are conscious decisions you've made. So why did it feel right for Atomfall to treat it that way?
So in the case of Sniper Elite, you are an elite trained sniper. You know, Carl Fairbairn's like a human sniper rifle, right? He knows exactly how to fire a shot, miles to take out that one guy. This is a different character in a different situation. We wanted it to be a mystery, so there are no signifiers of age, race or gender for the player character. They're wearing gloves, so you don't know who they are. Their backstory is part of the mystery that you may or may not uncover as you explore. We wanted you to feel more like it's not so much a war zone as a pub brawl. You're desperately attempting to survive. There's not much ammo around. The guns are all rusty because everyone's been trapped in this quarantine zone for 5 years. You're mixing melee and ranged combat. You can throw your melee weapons. You can kick people to make them stagger back. We wanted you to be constantly, desperately mixing options and scavenging desperately for resources. So there's a real kind of tension as you play, which is very, very tonally different to Carl, who's calm and controlled and reads an entire situation before he decides what to do.
I think we can definitely get on board with the pub crawl element.
My entire playthrough is like it's a scene from Kingsman, basically, and it's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel great.
Talking about Kyle and that he's an iconic character. What about the characters in Atomfall? Our player character isn't maybe so much of the focus, but are there other people that we're going to meet that are going to be key?
Yeah. So. I need to have the right answer that doesn't spoil too many things. But as you explore the game world, different characters will ask you to help uncover the mystery of what happened in the Windscale plant and maybe ask you to do something when you get there. And if you do that for them, they might try and find you a way to escape this quarantine zone, or they promise to. So as you explore, you've got to decide who you trust and who you don't trust, whether you think they're telling the truth or trying to manipulate you, whether you believe the same things as they do. So it's all murky shades of grey. There's no good guys and bad guys, and it's all completely open to the player. So you could theoretically kill every character in the game, and there's still a way to finish the game. You could theoretically play through and kill no one, and there's other routes available to you. So we really pushed hard into giving the player lots of options and lots of rewards for observing and choosing what to do. So there's lots of tropish characters, lots of kind of characters that fit this world of being north of England and also being 1950s, 1960s culturally.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, as a fellow Scot, Ben, really quick, are there any maybe Scottish people in there that we can look forward to meeting? I'm sorry.
No spoilers, but what we have done is we've taken like 1950s sci-fi, 1950s, or like old-fashioned folk horror type trope characters and Cold War scientist trope characters, and you'll meet those kinds of people as you explore through the game, and then still decide whether you trust them or not.
Okay.
So we got pub rules, we got crazy characters. They're all living in this open world that we're experiencing. Can you tell us more about that? How did you construct it? How big is it as well?
Okay. Well, what Rebellion excels at is these deeply packed kind of sandbox maps. So the way that we've structured Atomfall is a series of like 5 or 6, depending on how you count, sandbox maps like the one you can see just now. And you can travel freely between them at any time. They're all thematically very, very different. And then there's loads of interiors and like large-scale, story-driven locations that you might uncover, as well as bunkers that are full of loot that you might find. What we wanted to do is really lean into that densely packed kind of puzzle box. So I've spent all day watching people play the game, and no two playthroughs have been the same. People can approach it all very, very differently, get different experiences. As you explore the game, you'll find leads as well. So we don't have a kind of quest system. We've got leads that you piece together clues that help you understand what's happening. So we built this puzzle box, this sandbox of interconnected options for the player, and then we just let them go for it. They might find a difficult, dangerous place and die, but we signpost very clearly that it's a dangerous place, and then it's kind of up to them what happens.
That's right. I love a puzzle. I'm buzzing.
Yeah.
We're great at solving them together, to be fair.
Well, we could work on it. I mean, You just said that there'll be leads that players can follow. Tell us a bit about how they're equipped to do so, because we just saw like literally pulling out a metal detector and taking part in that great British tradition of finding some old coins or whatever it could be. But what are the other ways we can do that?
Yeah, so you might find a lead that someone's hidden in a box under the ground somewhere. They've a bit of storytelling around it to draw the player in and make them try and understand how it fits to the game world. But there's also characters that you might find in the world. There's friendly characters that you can barter with, and they might sell you or rather trade something with you which has a lead in it. Or if you do some trade with them, they might get friendly to you and give you a lead. You can also have conversations with characters, and if you choose the right choices, you might get some more information from them. The way that we've approached those is the same kind of high stakes player freedom. So you can get the conversation wrong, right? You're not working your way down a list of conversation topics until they grey out and then moving on to the next one. It works more like a real conversation. So if you judge their personality wrong and say the wrong thing, they might shut down and stop talking to you, and you've pruned a chain of leads that you might otherwise have found something interesting in the game world. So you're always having these influences and layers that you may even not notice are there.
That sounds so smart. I can't wait to dive into that as well. That's so cool. I understand there's some crafting elements in that as well, and also, metal detectors, scavenging. Can you tell us what that kind of looks like in Atomfall?
Sure. So the player's desperately trying to survive and finding materials to help them survive. Yeah. So even if they find a gun, there might be 3 bullets for the gun. So they can find materials that let them craft things to help them heal or help them in combat, so Molotov cocktails and makeshift grenades and things like that. So you find yourself trapped into a corner and you can make these resources that help you survive. Like I say, we're trying to make sure that we find this sweet spot where you feel kind of desperate as you're trying to survive. We want you to use everything that you find. We've made sure your backpack capacity is quite limited as well, so you're really pushed to make these difficult choices and decide even whether you want to engage in a fight or not, whether you want to avoid it entirely, you want to choose the right moment and try and take out 5 guys with a Molotov. It's all really, really high stakes, but it makes it very rewarding when you manage to pull something off.
It looks like our player right now is making a horrible decision by going into a restricted area. Already seen a ribcage. I mean,
yeah. I mean, so
this is going to go great.
Like I mentioned earlier, if you're heading into somewhere difficult or dangerous or scary, we make sure and signpost it. So if you go into a place like that and then you die, you go, I should have guessed. There was a skeleton outside.
Yeah, that one's on me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm very good at ignoring red flags, so we'll see about that.
And in terms of the player's progression then, so you're making all these decisions, you're making friends with everybody, you're crafting your gear. What about skills, anything like that in the game?
Sure. So there's a range of skills that help reinforce the player's ability to survive in this dangerous world. So there's a chain of skills that are for melee combat, ranged combat. There's sort of durability skills that mean you can take more damage and survive in dangerous areas. And then also abilities that help your overall survival, like disarming traps and things like that. So really we wanted to keep it grounded so that there's always that sense of threat and pressure, but we wanted to give you some advantages. So you might learn a skill that lets you throw a melee weapon, and if it's bladed, it'll stick in targets and things like that, just to help give you that edge over the course of the game. As you can see in this location here, they're in a kind of dark and then scary interior. So we've got the player's progression, but then there's also a kind of game world progression where they're uncovering a mystery. So quite literally, they have to push deep into the world and into the underground of the world to find these dark and scary places. We try and keep it tense the entire way through the game.
I was going to say, because there is the sci-fi element, but there's a bit of horror vibes I'm getting too. So with us competing with people maybe on a top level, and now we've got into this bunker, there must be some monsters of some kind.
Yeah, we just saw a little glimpse of something scary and monstrous. And as you push into the mystery, you will find more elements influenced by what happened. But yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said earlier, the storytelling style of the 50s and 60s didn't really have a division between folk horror and sci-fi. There was like a blend for a certain kind of story that was addressing the Cold War, but in a way that wasn't too political, I guess. So, folk horror stories are about the division between rural and urban civilization and how there's a tension between them, and Cold War stories are about fear of the outsiders and others and that sort of thing. And there's thematic resonances between all of these different storytelling styles, which make it really easy for us to push into these otherworldly horror elements as you push into the mystery.
Nice. That's so sick.
We've got quite an atmospheric bunker, like you said, as well. Have you got a favourite part of the maps that you can share us with? Again, nothing. I'm really pushing it here, but any favourite place to maybe have a picnic or anything like that?
Well, actually, there is a favourite secret place which I can tell you about a little bit. So, as the player is starting the game, they're given one lead. A person tells them that the heart of this mystery is a location called the Interchange. So to begin with, you're trying to find this place, and as you make your way in, it's all unpowered, it's been shut down, it's been quarantined, and you push into it and open it up more and more, and it's like an unfurling flower as you find all of these leads that are the heart of the mystery. And the more you find, the more leads there are to find. So you end up in this kind of like snowball effect.
He's just picked up a Cornish pasty.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah. Well, this is pre-Greg's era, I suppose. So we'll take what we can get for now.
That's brilliant.
Just don't ask what meat's in it.
I don't want to know.
It's really fun for me to see like the contrast between that dank bunker we just came out of, and then like the overworld is so lush and vibrant. And listen, I've been to the north of England. It's not always this green, so sometimes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I live in London, and it's just grey all the time. So any green I can get is good. But
it's the Lake District on a good day.
Yeah, exactly. So, will we see many other types of biomes or environments in the game as well?
Yeah. So one example would be there's a woodland nearby, but it has more of a kind of spooky folk horror-ish tone. As you get into it, it feels more mysterious and occult. And there's a group of kind of pagans that if you tread wrong, they'll cut your face off with sickles, you know. Yeah. Or you can find a friendly character who's sort of part of that group and talk your way into their compound. So we give you all these different options to, you know, for whichever faction there are, ways to befriend them or get in a fight with them.
Choose them.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that as well. Very good. I mean, I think we, especially at Xbox On, are super excited for Atomfall and to check it out and maybe even come across ourselves, because Henry and I and Charlie have actually been scanned into the game, which we're very excited to maybe come across ourselves. Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
There's Henry getting his wee...
Yeah, I have to say it's maybe not the most flattering, methods of doing it, but what are you actually doing to me there? Because I just signed something and agreed to show up dressed as a big baby, and apparently that's for something. But
yeah, no,
what
this
did
is
you guys do?
massive scam.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah, thanks. What is it that you guys have to do to get someone scanned into your games? Because the realism is quite impressive.
Sure. So we go through a highly detailed scanning process of every angle of your face and different configurations. So we get wrinkle maps and things like that.
What do you mean? I'm perfect.
Of course, yeah. So we didn't bother with the wrinkle maps.
Oh, great.
So they're all assembled by character artists and rigged so they can animate. And then we, in the case of Atomfall, we then put that in a sort of character builder system. That means we can put costumes on the characters. We might grub your face up a bit because, they've been surviving for 5 years without washing machines and soap. And then we just find exactly the right spot for each kind of memorable face in the game.
I'm definitely looking out for where I am. If I'm on an enemy, that's okay. I've always wondered what I'd look like if I had a cricket bat to the face. So this is great. And you're going to be getting scanned in pretty soon.
Yeah. I can't wait. As long as you put some fake eyelashes on me as well, then make that.
I'll make a note.
Yeah. Are you in the game as well? Have you been scanned?
No, I haven't been scanned yet.
Okay.
No. You have to shave a beard off if you want to get.
Yeah, you had to do that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was just the beard that we had to shave. Right.
Yeah, the rest was optional.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoops. Honestly, I cannot wait to play this game. It looks bonkers. It looks British as heck. And honestly, we're going to play it so much when it launches next year. Thank you so much, honestly, for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your Gamescom. And
excellent. Thank you very much.
And we are going to be taking a little look at some other games, but your game's coming out in 2025 on Xbox Game Pass, which is great. But next up, we're going to be throwing it back with some Age of Mythology retold. But before we do that, we do want to check out some new gameplay. It's Dragon Ball. Oh yeah, Sparking Zero. It's back. Check this out.
Yes! Dragon
Hello
Ball
everyone,
Sparking
I'm
Zero!
Marco Izzo, product manager of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Thank you for joining us today in this exciting showcase. Today we will show you some new and exciting gameplay footage featuring characters that we have revealed during the opening night live. But before that, let me give you a reminder on the 2 single-player game modes that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has to offer: Episode Battles and Custom Battles.
Finally!
First up is Episode Battle. In this single-player mode, you can take the point of view of 8 different characters, including Goku and Vegeta, and enjoy famous battles from the anime. For each stage, you'll be playing through an introduction before heading into some of the most iconic fights in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. The number of stages and battles vary by character.
We're here to take you down. Simple as that.
Next up is Custom Battle. In this mode, players fight in battles that each have their own original scenes. Some battles will also have different victory condition, and some might even have event cutscenes pop up midway, so you'll be able to enjoy battles different from the norm. Using Edit mode, you'll be able to freely set the characters to be played, as well as the pre-battle and post-battle cutscenes, in order to make your own original battle. What you've made will be able to be uploaded and viewed online for the whole world to play, so hope you enjoy sharing the battles and situations that you have created.
That's lit. That's kind of cool.
Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Coming straight from the Majin Buu saga, Ultimate Gohan is our latest addition to the roster. After his rigorous training, he's ready to show his power in an all-out fight against Kefla in her Super Saiyan 2 form. Enjoy!
Should be powered. I wonder if like I was about to say like they make Kale look like a team, now that I think of it, I wonder if Khalifa they would have been called like Team Khalifa. Oh, they're actually going manga accurate, doing the manga accurate fight. I just realized that. Finally, get some actual gameplay. Oh, what the hell? He sputtered like a power pole. He then spin Khalifa like a power kill. Kamehameha. What is that?
俺との実力差に気づいたか?
What the heck? Did they decrease the size of the roster?
Now, there is nothing like enhancing a classic with modern graphics and gameplay mechanics. And if that classic feature can feature, new expansions and a remastering of the multiplayer experience, well, in my eyes, it's even better. So here from World's Edge even, to give us the latest on Age of Mythology Retold, please welcome Senior Director of Production, Ernest Yen, and Senior Game Designer, Kristen Perillo. Welcome and prostagma to you. Thank you so much. Now, Age of Mythology, there's loads going on here at Gamescom.
Yes.
In general, there's loads going on anyway. But you also had a pretty epic opening night live. So I want to hear all about that. I want to hear all about the booth. I want to hear everything.
Great. So first, thank you, Jeff Keighley, for showing the awesome premiere trailer that we just showing in opening the live last night. And you showed the story of Athena talking to the young hero, and in this case, one of them is of course the key character, Zakynthos, and about this really, really epic story that a lot of our fans remember really fondly. So over multiple campaigns, over 50 missions, it is epic, amazing, and of course the trailer also show off the new graphics we have in the game, looking really pretty. It is just really cool to see. So.
Yeah, and the trailer's been fantastic because it really showcases how diverse each civilization is within myth.
Yeah.
We have our Greeks, we have Egyptians, Norse, and Atlantean. They all have their own gods, their lore, the way that they play. There's just so much diversity within the gameplay. It's been really exciting.
And talking about the booth, yes, we are here, so people can actually come.
You're just over the back, over there. You're tucked away over that way.
Right there.